Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Lars Helgeson. He is an author, founder, a traveler, and pioneer of complete CRM. We're going to talk about his company, Green Rope, today. He's founder, CEO, developer, and pioneer at that. And he's also a speaker and book author that we're gonna speak of CRM for dummies. So he's got the brand, the franchise there. Traveled the world, interesting guy altogether. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. If you want to start scale, be invited to podcasts like this one or monetize your existing podcast, because most people that start a podcast just struggle monetizing podcasts. And where's the ikigai, where's the money part if you cannot monetize your pod, right? You can have fun, but most people give up because there's no money. In tiring times like that, like a bunch of folks are seeking money not only to do stuff for passion, so I help them scale their pods. Podfire.com for that. Lars, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and about what you're up to nowadays.
Well, thanks for having me, Charles. Appreciate you taking the time to put this all together. So yeah, as you said, I've been working in CRM for quite a while. I started the business about 23 years ago, and we started first doing email marketing, and then had a bigger vision to create what I call complete CRM, which is the idea that you can use one piece of software to integrate your sales, your marketing, your customer service into one platform and make that easy so that you don't have to manage too many APIs. Back in the day when I first started, it was a very radical idea. Now I think it's catching on. Most people recognize the importance of bringing these different functions and tools together so that your marketing team is coordinating with your sales team, is talking to your support team. And then you've got account managers and, the more operational side of things, where everything is tied together. And so the idea behind why we built Green Rope was so that it would be easy for all those pieces to work together. And so it's been quite a journey to do that. Lately, one of the big things, obviously, everyone's heard about AI and all the things it can do for you. And we've been building a lot of AI related tools into our CRM as well, all through ChatGPT. It's been a really incredible thing to watch it happen. How the technology has become more pervasive and ubiquitous. So now we can make it easy for all of our clients to leverage it.
Interesting. How did you get started into entrepreneurship, and why did you decided to take that path?
That's a good question. I started working in the government. I paid for school because my parents didn't have enough money to send me to school, so I went through ROTC, and I was in the Air Force for a few years, and I learned from my time in the military, like most governments, that the bureaucracies are very big. They're very cumbersome, and they're designed for you to be replaced. And so call it my ego. I just wanted to do something where I felt like I could make a difference myself. And so when I got out, I had saved a little bit of money and just lived in a little apartment and struggled and ate a lot of macaroni and cheese and tried to build our first business. Had a couple failures to start, lived very poorly for a while. And then the email marketing concept took off, and then that sort of branched into CRM, which then has turned into all the things I was talking about before. So it's very much been an organic process. I've never taken any seed funding. And no VC or private equity. It's all just been, what we make. We grow very slowly and organically.
Interesting. And when did the travel came into the equation? Seems that just like entrepreneurship and just like my story, it was part of the equation almost from day one.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to. And when I was in the government, I traveled all over the US and never got outside the country. And I always wanted to. And then my very first trip, I had learned to dive, and I decided I was going to go to Fiji. And I had an amazing experience, and both with the local culture and with the diving and mountain biking, all the things I did when I was there. And it was a very special kind of moving experience in that once you leave the US, and Fiji's a beautiful, safe, easy place to go. But once you leave the US, you get exposed to totally different concepts, different ways of thinking, different ways of solving problems, dealing with conveniences that aren't everywhere like they are here. And it very much fundamentally changed me as a person. And most people, I think, that have traveled, and they, and I mean by travel, I don't mean like going on a cruise ship or the guided tours or whatever. When you actually travel and explore and backpack and do all those things that take a little bit of foresight or planning or just keeping an open mind about things, it changes you. And it certainly changed me. And so from that, it really encouraged me to build a more international presence as a business. And so we've got clients in over 20 countries, and it's been great. We've got partners all over the world, and I go every now and then, I'll go meet with them and their clients. And so it's nice to be able to work business into travel and adventure. And I've been fortunate. I've been able to see 75 countries, and there's plenty more to see and do and everything. But it's life is short, and so trying to take the most advantage of the time that I got.
And how did you intertwine that with entrepreneurship? Because yeah, obviously the entrepreneurship pays for the travel and provides the freedom, the flexibility for the travel. And the travel provides outside your comfort zone and new data and more creativity to entrepreneurship. So how did that come about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the very first step is, if you haven't traveled, you have to make that step. You have to step outside your comfort zone, and you open yourself up to learning from that. And then once you realize, I think, the importance of doing that, you create a life that supports that. And so I decided that my company would always be virtual, and that everyone who works for me would have the same kind of flexibility in their travels. And we've got our team is around the world in different places. And oftentimes someone is always traveling, which I love being able to give that to my team, because we're able to provide excellent service to our clients and really great technology while giving our team the flexibility to be anywhere in the world and take advantage of that. And so that's one thing I really love, about, and the nice thing about having our technology is that it makes it easy for a company to be distributed like that. So that, we wrote it so that the system, because we use our own CRM, everyone on the team is using the same tools. And so they have to be flexible enough to manage a distributed team where people are in tons of different time zones, and how to, synchronize all those things together, which is not a trivial problem. So it's been really fun, getting to do all of those things, and really enjoy the travel while giving that flexibility to our team, while being able to see our customers happy using our platform and helping them grow and operate their businesses more efficiently. It's been great. I absolutely love all the things that we do.
Right. That's pretty cool. And the fact that you started in Cooler Email, that was like financing your travel life for the first like 10-ish years. Then you became a speaker, an author, and everything in between. And finally, that led to Green Rope. Tell us about Green Rope as a business.
Yeah, it really was an evolution of how I changed from being focused primarily on email marketing, and the which is more of like a function, like a very specific function. I had a friend of mine recently kind of explain the idea of tiles versus dashboards, where tiles are like, if you're on your phone and you have these little tiles, like little applications, as opposed to a dashboard, which is pulling everything together. And that really was the change from email marketing, which is very much like a function, But that data doesn't mean anything when it sits by itself. You need to be able to take the information that you gather, whether it's clicks, reads, unsubscribes, how people, what they do with your messaging. How do you get that back into a CRM in a way that's actionable and something that you can actually learn from? And so that whole process really was about how to pivot not just the software, but the company and the strategy and everything about being more inclusive and holistic about how do you help a business and which businesses can you help? I mean, how big do you get? And so we've been around for a long time. We've been able to evolve, and we have some clients that are very big. We've got some state and city, local governments. We've got some universities. We've got startups. We've got marketing agencies. We have a private labeled reseller program where people can partner and license our technology. So we have a lot of different ways now that we can serve businesses in a lot of different industries. So that was a fundamental change. Really in what we were trying to do. And at the time, I had a business partner who was totally opposed to it. And so we had to go our separate ways because his approach was so fundamentally different, and he wanted to stay totally just doing email marketing. And I had a bigger vision. And so not that his was worse, it was just different. And so we parted ways about 10 years ago now.
So how do you choose a good business partner, or do you prefer rolling solo nowadays?
Now I would roll solo. And I think a lot of people who have had business partners have had that. It's almost like that feeling of when you're in a relationship, a lot of times people feel like maybe one person likes the other person more. And in a business, sometimes you have people that are more, usually I would say the two people partners or multiple partners have different levels of dedication to the business. And, and sometimes it's not their fault. If someone's got a family and they've got kids to deal with, and, and other issues that could come up that could get in the way of simply their availability to work on the business, that can have a driving effect on how the partners perceive each other, because the person that's working harder is going to grow resentful of an equal partner or any partner who just decides they're not going to pull their weight. And the unfortunate thing is that it's almost inevitable that will happen. Not to say that it's predestined, but when I talk to other entrepreneurs, almost everyone who has had a partner says the same thing. They all have that same story. And so there has to be a way, if you're going to get into a partnership, for the parties to dissolve or to break apart and not have it destroy the entire business. It was very difficult with my old partner, but we figured it out, and he still gets residual commissions off of the deal. So which given his contributions in the early stages of the business, I don't have an issue with.
Interesting. And nowadays with the actual business, what are your top 3 priorities with Green Rope?
Right now is really to start to leverage more and more AI. As it evolves, there are more things that you can do with it. And so we had built in some predictive analytics tools early on, but I think now with the way it can work, we can present the findings a lot more intuitively to people. So, because we just launched an audio digital assistant that goes with the CRM. So when you log in, it looks at your activities, it looks at the weather where you're at, and it puts together, upcoming events and meetings and everything. And so you can click a button and the AI will actually speak to you and tell you everything that's happening in your day. And that's not something that was possible. We use the AI we feed it the raw data. It converts that into a script, and then we use GPT's text to speech. And so you just click a button and it does all that for you. And so, and that's an example of how we can integrate all of these different tools together to make it useful and helpful for our users, as because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We are in the business of helping our clients save time and money, and with a CRM that's fully integrated like that, we have the automation tools and we have things like this that if someone can click on a button when they first log in and start their day, and of course they can read it and they can pour through all the scripts and everything, but if you hear an assistant actually speak it to you, things like that are ways that you can be maybe doing something else, or reading your emails while it's talking to you. So a way to feel a little bit more connected. And I throw in a little like an inspirational quote, because who doesn't need one of those? So, but the idea is how do we leverage these tools to help us be more efficient and help us learn things that we may not have been able to discern just from looking at a computer screen.
There you go. Because ideally, CRM would automatically do everything for you. So that's how you learn about that person. In my world, it's mostly virtual, right? All my businesses are fully online. So it's like, hey, you visited this person's LinkedIn profile because you watched this other connection that is a client of yours. Me, I use Apollo as a CRM, which is quite odd. Apollo's contact database and a cold email software, and they have that extension. So I just add people to Apollo via, when I check their LinkedIn profile, for example, I can just add them in there. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have that function there. What paths do you want to take as a CRM when there's a bunch of giants like Salesforce or Microsoft's CRM, which I forgot the name of, or HubSpot, for example, that are in similar space?
There's a couple things there. One is that larger companies tend to not evolve very quickly. And that's a thing that's been a strength of ours over the years, in that we have a small development team, and the ability to release tools like this, like the one I was just telling you about, and really react to the market and to what our customers need, being agile like that is an important thing for us and for our clients. They value the fact that they have access to tools like this. Another big element is that we do license our technology, which is something that these other big companies cannot do. And so if you were going to create your own branded version of a CRM and sell to your channel, to your existing customers, then that gives you the ability to not only make recurring revenue from those subscriptions, but now they're logging into your branded CRM every day. And that gives you the brand awareness, and it gives you the connection between you and your customers, because people use their CRM every day. They're not going to change. And so if they're logging into a platform that you provide, then they're seeing your brand every day, and that really cements that relationship. And so that's what we want to do with our licensing model, is allow our partners to take our technology under their brand and then make that connection, so that then not only do they get the recurring revenue, but now they can cross-sell services and say, and there's a lot more to CRM. And you were talking about what you use Apollo for, which is fairly typical. But when you talk about complete CRM, you're looking at everything from that initial contact and those one-to-one emails, to email newsletters, to social media, to texting, to surveys, to learning management systems, to knowledge management systems, project management, all of these things that are fully integrated, that really define the relationship. Where if you were going to try and do those with different platforms, you've got to figure out a way to, for example, if you're going to send a survey and try to get feedback from all of your clients and have that actually potentially drive automation. So someone could say, you could do a net promoter score question. And if someone scores a certain number, then you can have that trigger an automation follow-up, either an alert to you or maybe a follow-up email or whatever. All those kind of those automation tools, things like lead scoring, where you can really do insight into what people are doing when they see your brand, when they're interacting with you. Those things aren't possible with like an Apollo. And if you're going to try and do that with a Salesforce or a Microsoft, you're going to hire engineers and you're in 6 figures plus easy. If you're going to do that with a HubSpot, that's possible. You're going to pay a lot more than you will with Greenrope, but and I'm not talking down about any of those platforms. They're all good for what they do, and each one presents its own strengths and weaknesses. And so they're all very big companies. They're much bigger than we are. So I think what it comes down to is, what are your requirements as for running a business? If you want the partnership model, yeah, we offer that. If you need the integration of all the things I was talking about before, take a look at all the different providers that are out there. I mean, it's not just us and HubSpot. I mean, Entrepreneur, Office Autopilot. I mean, there's tons of Keep on the low end. There's tons of platforms that do this. So I would say take a look and keep in mind what your requirements are. Make sure you get good customer service and pick the one that works best for you.
How do you get your new clients? Because I believe you have like 5,000 users so far.
Actual users is closer, I think, to 15,000.
Okay. And 5,000 paid or a bit less?
Actual accounts. No, we're not at 5,000. We're probably at 2,000.
Which is amazing, because it starts at $100 a month, right?
Yeah.
That's quite significant. How do you get these new users?
The partners, so we do a lot of pay-per-click, and it's hard though, because like I said before, we're organically funded, so I don't have the horsepower of, say, private equity or venture capital that could say, I'm going to throw $1 million at this campaign, or the marketing budgets. And so I've got one marketing guy, I've got a small PPC budget, and we try to do the best we can with SEO. We try to get people to write articles about us, podcasts like this, so that people just know that we exist. That's our biggest challenge, is awareness. Because even though we've been in the business for a long time, there are a lot of companies that do CRM. It's a crowded space, and a lot of that crowded space is very well funded. I mean, Salesforce is a $50 billion company. Microsoft is I don't even know how big they are, how many hundreds of billions of dollars. And so here we are, a little $2 million company, trying to compete with companies that are much, much bigger. And and we just recently won a contract from a state organization, and we beat out all those big guys. So it's just because you're bigger doesn't mean you're better. Otherwise, we'd all eat at McDonald's for all of our meals.
Correct, and shop at Walmart. How do you get Hyperloop and these big clients, or these cool clients, as logos? Is it like pure organic and referral, or do you have some outreach going on in there?
It's funny. Then this kind of goes back to sort of the entrepreneurship question. I am 0 for 6 on hiring hunters, real development, business development people. It is so hard to find someone who actually has the connections that they say they have, and someone who has the ability to reach out and actually help and find those leads and actually help bring them in, so that we can actually talk to them and close them and sell them. And so I have primarily done inbound marketing, and so primarily just advertising, and every now and then we'll go to trade shows. We haven't actually in the last few years since COVID. And so everything really we do online, and we bring people in so we can give them a demo of the platform and let them make that determination themselves. It is challenging when we don't have the budget to go to trade shows and to do all that. I invest in my people, and I invest in PPC and SEO and trying to reach out those ways online. And and so it's a challenge. Our competitors have bigger budgets, and they go to these events and they're able to make more awareness. But once people see that we exist and will actually see the platform and what we can do, then that. So we get leads from referral, and then we also get a lot of leads from those different other methods that we do online to bring people in.
Interesting. What challenges have you faced in the last couple of years? Because to me, yeah, it's not bootstrap, right? It's a great living for you. Do you still impose challenges and stressors on yourself to make sure you grow? And if so, how do you deal with the stress and the challenges when they come?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any entrepreneur that is totally stress-free. Actually, I take that back. I've got a couple of friends that have been very successful that seem like they're handling the stress pretty well. I'm not quite at that level yet. There's still, I mean, it's a fight in a crowded space with really big competitors. And so there's no real opportunity for us to just sit back on our laurels and just say, oh, we made it, especially because I find that it's important for us to continue to find ways to add value to our customers through the services and the technology that we offer to them. So dealing with that, the work-life balance thing is really important. And so travel is part of that for me. I recently moved up to the Pacific Northwest so that I can be closer to nature because I enjoy kayaking and hiking and all the things. I was living in San Diego before, and it was very crowded down there, and I really enjoy now being a little closer to nature and farther, easier to get out amongst the trees. And that's been really good for helping me find work-life balance, and it's been great for my psyche. In the past year, my heart rate, my blood pressure, and my cholesterol are all down 10 to 20%. And I think a lot of that is attributable to getting to a cleaner environment to live in and being better at work-life balance.
Love it. Where can people find out more about you?
Well, about the business, there's greenrope.com. And then for the licensing, there's completecrm.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn or Twitter or X or whatever it is. Although I don't really manage the X account for us. That's my marketing person. So primarily, I would say LinkedIn for business connections, but about the technology, I would say greenrope.com and completecrm.com.